We don't have the cellular infrastructure enough to be able to make any videos, which is just great. Way to go, New York State. But anyway, as I was saying, hopefully more people will join in and obviously watch the video. But what I was initially saying in the first part of this, which I've deleted, and I'm not wasting my time posting something that's half-assed or half done, is that I think I'm taking a pivot. I think I'm taking a pivot because I'm kind of tired of doing gun reviews. I'm kind of tired of being one of these fake ass YouTubers who will basically just say whatever they want to say to get another item sent to them so they can review it for everybody, even though the majority of people can't afford what they're reviewing, especially when it comes to like a $1,200 pistol or a $3,000 fucking gun. I mean, let's be real. I mean, some people are getting them for free. Not everybody, but some do, and then they review them and they tell you to go out and buy them, even though they didn't buy them themselves. I mean, I'm kind of tired of being a part of that. I'm tired of being a part of this community where everybody sells you on a lie. And one of the things that I have to talk about is why I'm pivoting and why this is going to be a change and why there's going to be blowback. And honestly, I don't even care anymore. Like, I think it's time for people to have those honest conversations. And I think one of the things that many of the subscribers of this channel have realized over the years, that when we used to do the live streams, I'm pretty vocal with my opinions, and I don't have a problem expressing those opinions. But I have to say, like, things have changed over this past week or so, and they haven't changed for the better. And I think where my pivot began was all right, so apparently, again, like I said, there doesn't seem to be solid connection of cellular service around me, but I'm going to keep trying. So I apologize for the steering wheel, but that's what's holding my phone in place. But what I was trying to say was that my hard pivot has finally come, and I really think that the gun channel thing for me is kind of over. I mean, maybe every once in a while I'll do something, but I just don't find it appealing anymore. I don't find it really interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love firearms. I'm going to continue to own them, shoot them, do everything with them. But I just am tired of getting, I guess, pigeonholed into this idea that I have to be a gun channel and nothing else. I think my pivot comes from a couple of things, and I'm going to quickly talk about them. I'm not going to spend hours on this at all because, to be honest with you, it's really not worth it. And I'm going to probably make a video kind of explaining a little bit more, but I think my pivot really started when the girl from the Ukraine was murdered in Charlotte, and it hit home for me because of the fact that, I have two kids, one who's 19, the other one who's 18, and I began to realize that, and I don't know, maybe I should have realized it earlier or sooner, but I began to realize that the message that I'm giving my kids is changing. I really had to have a conversation with both my kids to tell them you can never turn your back on anyone, and you have to be always vigilant around your surroundings. And, I know as parents, we try to tell them, hey, yeah, you got to be watchful for this or that or everything else. But the only reason why I think I'm really stressing that message now is because you cannot even rely on people to help you. And I think that's what's most disturbing, right? You watch the video footage of that young lady and she gets murdered, and there's people standing there, people sitting there who watched her get assaulted, who watch a man walk past with a bloody item in his hand, and nobody says anything. Nobody tries to stop this individual. And I get it, the person had a knife, and that's sketchy, right? I don't think I can blame someone if they're not armed or they're too afraid of this psychopath. That's probably more understandable than not. But what also was completely ununderstandable was watching this lady crumble onto the floor, blood coming out of her, and nobody did anything to try to stop her from bleeding out. And I'm just kind of shocked by that, man. Like, no humanity, no empathy, no nothing. And then, of course, you have the week of 9/11, which, for many of us who had people, many of us who were, on the job at one time, there's just that history, that dread of that day. And that played a role into it. And then, of course, you talk about Charlie Kirk and him being murdered and assassinated. And then you begin to say to yourself, what are we doing? Hey, Scott, what's up? What are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing as people? What are we doing as a society? And then not only that, but you then saw the aftermath of all the psychopaths that came out of here and were cheering and saying, this is great. And, F Charlie Kirk and all this other stuff. And at that time when this guy is murdered in cold blood in front of thousands of people, in front of his daughter and his wife, instead of there being any empathy from certain individuals, there's nothing but hatred and disgust and whatever. And if you're a person who is into that and you're watching this and you want to leave comments, don't. You're not welcome here. It's just, you're not a part of my life. You're not a part of my belief system. You need to go away. I don't need to be a part of you. You don't need to be a part of me. You can live your life the way you want. I'm not going to intrude in that, but don't come over here and spread those messages here because they're not welcome. But then, of course, it's taken me a week to kind of, I don't know, put this together, I guess, to kind of put it together in my head about what I want to say and how I want to say it. And the entire time, what's up, Dennis? I can't see everybody. I'm sorry. So that's why I'm kind of moving around and shit. But then it comes to the YouTube world, right? And again, I'm not really vocal on any social media. Hell, I'm not even vocal on YouTube, to be honest with you. I just do gun reviews. But then you look at the gun channels and this group of people that say we're pro-Constitution, pro-freedom of speech, pro-conservatism, and not one of them said a fucking word. Not one. At least not that I know of. Maybe there were some out there and you can name them. That's great. But I was looking around some channels that, always talk about freedom and tyranny and all this other shit. And nobody said a word. Not one person. And, some people might say, well, their business is guns. Why would they get politically involved? And I'm going to answer that question for you because they have the platform, because they have the viewership, because they have the ability to influence the way people think. And so they don't mind talking to you about a $1,300, $2,000 gun that they didn't buy. They don't have a problem talking to you about some stupid bullshit product that was sent to them. They don't have problems talking about one specific brand, about how great they are. But when it comes to saying something political, when it comes to saying something that's righteous and right and correct, they choose to backpedal and stay silent when they have a huge platform of viewership. And that's when I said, fuck this shit with the gun channel. Fuck it. Because I get it. A lot of these big channels have businesses and they're making a ton of money and all this other great stuff. And believe me, it's great. And I don't flaw them for that. But even now, if you're making that money off of the beliefs of constitutional values and a philosophy of Christianity, which again, I'm not a Bible thumper by any means, but we know companies, we know individuals on YouTube, I'm sure we could all name them, about who talks about all this stuff, and they still don't say a word. You need to ask yourself why. And if you don't believe me, and you don't have to take my word for it, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying, I'm not an expert in anything, I would just say go to your YouTube channels that you watch the most and see which ones actually said something. And if there are some, congratulate them. Congratulate them for having the testicular fortitude to say something when it needed to be said on a platform that could easily demonetize them or a platform that could easily cancel them. And for those guys out there and gals who have channels like this or related to this type of genre, what I would say to them is, maybe they're not as honest and as forthcoming as they should be. And like I said, I'm not asking them to make some political statement that's going to get them banned, but how about just making a statement of solidarity? How about a statement that says these acts and these actions are not a reflection on the majority of us, are not a reflection on the majority of good, hardworking, honest people who have values, who have traditional values, values of family, values of doing the right thing, values of political discourse and conversation, values of supporting causes that they believe in without wanting to murder and hurt and maim others who don't have those political values. But guess what? You don't hear it. Because I think, if I was going to be a betting man, I think the reason why you don't hear it is because they're too worried that their bottom line is going to suffer. And I think that's been the poison, unfortunately, for a lot of people for far too long, that they are willing to put the dollar in front of morality. They're willing to put the dollar in front of human decency. And I know for me, if my channel ends today, so be it. Don't care. I don't really make any money off it. I think last month I made $60. But my gun channel, 1776 or bust, is over. That's it. It was a good run. I had a lot of fun with it. I love firearms. I will always love firearms. I will always support people's wanting and desires to have, own, and use firearms. But I've had it with YouTube and the gun community. I've had it with the falsehoods behind it. I've had it with the personalities behind it. I've had it with the fake ass, phony bullshit behind it. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with saying it. And I think we're going to pivot here. I think we're going to start bringing up more political things. I think we're going to start bringing up some more current events with social issues, because I think a voice needs to come out of something here and say something when it needs to be said. Maybe it won't always be right. Might be wrong maybe half the time. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having conversations, and I don't think there's anything wrong with people having beliefs, and I sure as hell don't think there's anything wrong with people having different beliefs. But what I think is wrong is when you see people being murdered for those beliefs, when you see people staying silent who supposedly support those beliefs, but are too afraid to say anything because they're too afraid to lose their money. So that's it for the live stream. You tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you want to do this again. Tell me if you want this to be the pivot for this channel, or tell me you want me to disappear and I'll do it. Because I don't know. I just am disgusted with so many things right now. And I really blame all of us for what's happened. Not just with Charlie Kirk, but with everything else. Because we have lost the simple idea of how to be people. And we've lost the idea on how to keep control of normalcy and values. And I think it needs to change. And who knows? Maybe this will be the change. So appreciate the 12 people who stopped in. Steve, I appreciate it, man. It's been a long time. Boy, I haven't seen you in a while, but then again, I haven't done this in a while. But like I said, guys, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And it's like I said, it's been a fun ride. I've really enjoyed the gun reviews and everything else with it, but it's done. It's gone. We're not doing it anymore. Maybe every once in a while I'll throw something out there, but I've just had it. And I appreciate everybody who subscribed. I appreciate all the comments, everybody I've met. I appreciate everything. I really do. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's been fun. But like I said, it's time to pivot. It's time to change some things. It's time to reassess. And it's time to maybe, I don't know, get a voice back instead of being, too worried about algorithms and money. Have a great night, everyone. See ya.